Ma'am, what is your full name?
My name is Sylvia Ann Rodriguez.
And what are the full names of your children on the case?
Jaime Miguel Gutierrez II and Christova Leon Gutierrez.
Okay. And there was previously an order entered regarding Jaime, but not yet regarding Cristobal. Is that correct to your understanding?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And who is Cristobal's father?
Jaime. Jaime Gutierrez.
Okay. And did you and Mr. Gutierrez sign an acknowledgement of paternity for Cristobal?
He signed the birth certificate. He was there when he was born.
Your Honor, I ask that the acknowledgement of paternity be placed in evidence of State's Exhibit 1.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, do you have any objection to that exhibit coming in as evidence?
No, ma'am.
Okay, State's Exhibit 1 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. And at the time of the prior order, were you and Mr. Gutierrez in a relationship? The order for Jaime?
When I was first putting the father on child support, we ended up getting back together.
Okay.
That's why they didn't put any. That's why I guess the amount was 0.
Okay. And so you understand that prior order for Jaime did have a 0 current support obligation, and there's no arrears owed for Jaime.
Yes. I thought that was close. I didn't know it was still considered, I guess, on record.
Okay. And did at some point after that, did you and Mr. Gutierrez separate?
Yes, it's been a roller coaster ride. I mean, we get back together, separate, get back together, separate. And obviously we got together one last time because we had Chris,
Okay.
or Cristobal. But it's been an off and on relationship.
When did you last separate? Do you recall?
In probably 2016, it was right before Chris's birthday, first birthday. It was some months before his birthday.
Okay, so would that have been in 2017, I guess?
No, it would have been in 2016 because he wasn't 1 yet. He was probably like 8 months old.
Okay, and what is his date of birth?
Is 5/5/2016.
Okay. And do you want the court to consider ordering some retroactive or back support for Cristobal?
Yes, ma'am.
Does Mr. Gutierrez have any physical or mental disabilities you're aware of that prevent him from being able to at least work a minimum wage full-time job?
Not to my knowledge, ma'am.
And does he have any other minor children that he's obligated to support other than the children on this case?
I believe there might be one other child between Jaime and Cristobal.
Okay. And do you understand we looked at some calculations using a minimum wage presumption for part of the potential retroactive support period, but did factor in zeros for the period from December 22 through April 2024.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's because Mr. Gutierrez was incarcerated for a period. Is that correct?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And based on that, I've calculated potential retroactive support for Cristobal of $7,474. are you asking that the court enter a judgment against Mr. Gutierrez for that amount?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And what health insurance is currently available for the children?
The boys are currently on Medicaid, ma'am.
Okay. And do you have access to any other coverage that they could be on?
Potentially through my job if I could afford it.
Okay. Do you know how expensive it is through your job?
I think it's like $300 and something a month.
Okay. And do you know where Mr. Gutierrez is currently working?
No, ma'am.
When did you last have contact with Mr. Gutierrez?
I know it's been probably more than 2 years. I used to take the kids to go and see him a couple of times a year because that's when I could get off from my job. And after Chris turned about 2, possibly 3, we lost all contact, never calling or anything like that. So I didn't know where he was at.
Okay. Do you have concerns sharing rights and responsibilities for the children with Mr. Gutierrez?
Yes, ma'am.
And what has caused you to have concerns?
Well, when he was out, that he wasn't incarcerated, he didn't have a steady address. He was living from couch to couch. I think even at some point, I think he was even homeless. So my concern is definitely where would my kids be at?
Okay.
You know.
Are there any concerns with substance abuse?
Yes, ma'am. He's been known to have a habit. I don't know quite what habit he has, but I know that it was an illegal one. So that also causes concern for my kids.
Do you know what he was recently incarcerated for?
It was for domestic violence, family assault is what I believe was on there, ma'am.
Okay. And is that also something that is concerning to you in relation to visitation?
Yes, just because I want my kids to be safe.
Okay.
You know, with that being said, I don't know. You know, they've not had contact with them in so long that is one of my fears.
Okay. Are there any concerns that it would cause a risk of harm or harassment to you and the children for your address and other identifying information to be in the court order?
I don't think so, ma'am.
Okay. What do you believe would be in their best interest as far as visitation with their father?
I would like for there to be a supervised visitation, kind of slowly worked in,
and
for them to get comfortable with him.
Okay. Should that take place at a public location?
Yes, I think in the beginning, or maybe it should stay like that. I don't know at this point. But yeah, I definitely think a public place.
What would be a good place for you to meet for that?
Maybe McDonald's. We have a McDonald's here in Childress.
Okay. And is there a certain time frame that you think would be best for those visits?
Maybe afternoon, or like, I don't know, 10 to 4, something like that, in that range, kind of in the beginning, nothing real late.
Something on Saturdays, or would another day be better?
Yeah, Saturday would work.
Okay. Would you want that to be first, third, and fifth Saturday of the month, every Saturday?
I think first, third, and fifth would be.
Okay. And do you believe that after he has a certain number of supervised visits like that, it would be okay for him to move to unsupervised visits?
At this point, honestly, I really can't answer that question until we kind of get there.
Is there anything else that you want the court to know from you to help make a decision about any of the issues today?
Well, as far as like the supervised, the reason with that being said, as I've stated before prior, is he's got no structure. He has no address. At least if he gets visitations in Childress, I don't have to sit in the same area where they're at, but I can at least be there and know that my kids are okay, that they're safe. That's the main priority. I want to know that they're safe.
I pass the witness.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, I know
Yes, ma'am.
you've stated what you're requesting or what you think is in the best interest, but do you have any other testimony or evidence that you would like to share at this time?
No, ma'am, I don't have anything else at this time.
Okay, Ms. Koontz, any other witnesses?
The state rests, Your Honor.
All right, the state is rested. That means they have no further evidence or testimony. Do you also rest,
ma'am.
Ms. Rodriguez? Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
close, Ms. Koontz.
Your Honor, I'd ask the court's determination as to the conservatorship and possession and access in the matter. I do ask that the court order retroactive support for the younger child in the amount of $7,474. I would request that Mr. Gutierrez be ordered to pay that at $100 per month beginning July 1st of 2024. I would request that Ms. Rodriguez be responsible for applying for a government health plan for the children, that Mr. Gutierrez pay monthly medical support of $50 per month, and current child support of $249 per month based on a minimum wage presumption, with a step down to $221 per month after the oldest child emancipates. I do ask that Mr. Gutierrez be responsible for the court costs in the matter.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez, do you have any other requests?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, I do find that Mr. Gutierrez has an obligation to support the youngest child, and the youngest child will be added to this court order. I will make a finding of no child support arrears because previously no current child support was ordered. I will grant the retroactive judgment, $7,474, and order Mr. Gutierrez to pay $100 per month towards that obligation beginning July 1st, 2024. I will order Ms. Rodriguez to maintain health insurance through a government health insurance program. I will not order a non-disclosure at this time. I will order that the parties are to exercise visitation as mutually agreed, but absent mutual agreement, I will order a modified visitation schedule in which the first visits are supervised. I will order visitation on the first, third, and fifth Saturday of each month, with the exchange to take place at McDonald's. These visits will be supervised by Ms. Rodriguez or someone she designates in a public place, the McDonald's in Childress. Those will be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. for 10 periods of possession. Until 10 consecutive visits are completed, Mr. Gutierrez will not move on to the next step. However, if he were to complete the 10 consecutive visits, I'm ordering unsupervised Saturday on the first, third, and fifth Saturday following the first Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and also the exchange place to be at McDonald's. am ordering that Ms. Rodriguez, due to the past drug use, can request a drug test and prior to scheduling the visitation. And I will order that Mr. Gutierrez shall not consume any alcohol or illegal drugs prior to 12 hours prior to the visitation scheduled or during the visitation scheduled. I will order Mr. Gutierrez to pay $50 cash medical support beginning July 1st, 2024, and order him to pay $249 current child support with a step down of $221 with the current child support beginning July 1st, 2024. Court costs will be assessed against Mr. Gutierrez to be paid 1 year from today's date. Does anything need to be clarified, Ms. Koontz or Ms. Rodriguez?
No, Your Honor.
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any party can ask for a new hearing on any of the issues that I've ruled on today by filing a trial de novo with the Childress County District Clerk's Office within the next 3 days. It must be in writing. It must specify the portion or portions of my ruling in which a new hearing is being requested. Ms. Koontz will draft the order and submit it to me for signature. Once I've signed it, a copy will go out to you, Ms. Rodriguez, and to Mr. Gutierrez. Thank you for being
Yes,
here
ma'am.
today, Ms. Rodriguez.